Hello, everyone. Welcome to Manufactured in Africa. This is your host, Yonela. I'm here with Tatenda and two other amazing guests, Afropreneurs. I learned a new word. Those are Africans who are entrepreneurs. We have Mike Tavare, all the way from Guinea-Bissau. I didn't even know what Guinea-Bissau is. I had to Google. So, for all those of you who don't know, because we're manufactured in Africa, Guinea-Bissau is a country in West Africa. It borders Senegal. Yes, I learned something about the 54 states in Africa. And you better learn. And we also have Tamara oh, wait, Maqabangqa from the Eastern Cape.
Yeah.
I'm closer and I'm so ashamed of myself because the name is so difficult. But yes, so Tamara, she actually studied at University of Fort Hare. She studied English literature and philosophy. And she's doing exciting things because she's now an e-commerce expert, but she'll take us through what she does and how she made that transition, which is very exciting. And we have Mike Tavare all the way from Guinea-Bissau. I can't stop saying that Guinea-Bissau. He is the CEO.
Next to Senegal.
Yes, he is the CEO of Ojimah, a tourism app, but we'll talk about that in the podcast. He's well traveled and his home language, I assume, is Portuguese. But I'll allow him to introduce himself. So Tamara and Mike will introduce themselves and then we'll get into the conversation. I've said a lot. Tamara, you can go ahead first, please.
Yeah, awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here today. I am Tamara Maqabangqa. I am the founder and director of e-commerce at a marketing agency called Alaking Creatives. I am, like Yanela said, I studied philosophy and English, but then I drifted towards entrepreneurship after my studies, and I've enjoyed it ever since. So yeah, I am a full-time serial entrepreneur.
Yes,
Awesome.
Mike.
Serial entrepreneur.
Fantastic. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike Tavare, and from a tiny country in West Africa. And just like our host mentioned, when people ask me, where's the Guinea-Bissau? I always say, well, just with the border of Senegal. And that's, okay. So people know where is Guinea-Bissau. So basically, I'm actually a very, very easygoing person, which very early I found out about my passion, about people, hospitality, about tourism, and always wanted to be the one who's making the difference. And basically with that, I've graduated in tourism, and then I did a master's degree in hospitality management. I work all around the world. I work in Portugal, I work in Brazil, I work in the USA, I work in London, I work in Spain. So I've been through everywhere, collect a lot of knowledge, and now I'm bringing back all this knowledge to the service of our continent to make things move forward.
I'm so excited to be talking to you because you went into diaspora and now you're bringing back the skills. I like let's not leave Africa, guys. There's so much to do on the continent. There's so much wealth, there's so much knowledge, there's so much to appreciate. So I get this a lot that we always talk about the more formal things about people. So tell me, what's your favorite music and what's your favorite color? Just two things, because I know like people rarely ever think about their favorite things because they're busy with work and all of that. So what's your favorite music genre and favorite color? Let's go.
Tamara?
My favorite genre is hip hop. I'm a hip hop girl, but I enjoy good music, but predominantly hip hop. And then my favorite color is green.
Nice.
Most people think it's pink, but it's green.
I see.
Fantastic. And from my end, actually, my favorite music type is basically R&B. I love R&B, even though just like Tamara, I listen to almost everything, but R&B is for me is the main one. And my favorite color is the blue.
You guys like those colors of knowledge, those colors that are all about thinking and all of. Wow, I'm so disappointed. None of you guys actually said Xhosa trap or some African. What's that? There's this genre in Nigeria that they do.
Afropop.
You know, you
Afrobeat.
like
Afrobeat.
what's up with you people all westernized?
Like
But
we listen to it, but
But
preference.
it's fine.
but in their defense, they did say they listen to good music. So any good music. So in their defense, they do listen to any kind of good music.
Okay, I'll
Indeed,
give you
indeed.
that one. I'll give it to you guys. Okay, so
Yes.
we've heard about your career journeys briefly. Um, Please take us through like the thought process of why hospitality for you, Mike. Why Tamara? Why you chose to go do philosophy and English, and then why the shift? You know, that sort of thing. Because I think a lot of the time, especially from my own experience, when I was choosing a career, I just looked at my school marks and I was like, I'm good at physics, I'm good at maths, I'll go do what the government says is required, engineering. But later on in life, you realize that, oh my gosh, I'm not happy in this job, or I'm not doing what I want to do. So you guys seemingly have honed in on your passions and you knew from the start that this is what I wanted to do. So if you could please take us through that thought process, that journey.
Mike, would you like to go
Lady,
Okay.
first?
lady first.
Okay,
Mike is
cool,
so
cool, cool.
polite.
Too much. Oh, we. So for me, I actually didn't want to study humanities. I wanted to go into beauty. I thought I was going to become a makeup artist and hairstylist. And my mom told me that I'm too smart for that. So I have to go to university. So I think
Our
it's just an
parents.
African thing where, like, university is considered like the top notch thing for most parents. So I respected her wishes and I went to university. Initially, she actually wanted me to do accounting, and I was like, no ways. I studied accounting at high school. I was good at it, but the amount of effort I had to put in to get the results that I got was a little too much for me. So I was like, let me go and do something more like related to my other passion, which is communicating with people. And so I went towards humanities and psychology. I thought I was going to become a clinical psychologist. But as I was studying, I found more of a passion for English and philosophy. That's why I majored in that in my honors year. I just enjoyed discovering about people so much. And I do find that a lot of what I studied at university within those courses has shaped my thinking and has helped me understand people so much better. So, with regards to marketing, I don't feel like it is too far off. I feel like what I studied has helped shape my thinking in such a way that I'm able to understand people, understand their thinking, understand what motivates them, so I am able to market to them so much better. And yeah, so I met Mike a couple of months ago. He wanted me to be the brand ambassador for Ojimah. At the time, I was not in the space where I could do that, and quite recently, I found that I could. And so, yeah, that is what I will be doing right now with Ojimah, assisting them with marketing, being the brand ambassador, especially within South Africa and Cape Town. And I am super excited about this journey. Mike, over to you.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
excited for you to. Sorry, Mike. I'm excited for you too. And I have to compliment
Thank
you. You're
you.
very well spoken. That English course, whatever it did, or that confidence, it's amazing. Mike, you're going to get a lot of travelers coming your way. So, Mike, over to you.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I usually I visit a lot of different places and I speak with a lot of people. And there's always one thing one advice that I give to everyone. It is that if you're going to find the rest of your life working in something, just find the thing that you really like doing and get paid for that. And just like Tamara as well, actually I went to the university, and first I was doing law, and I was doing law, but more because of my parents. Oh, it's a family tradition. My father wanted me to become so. That put somehow that pressure on me, and then I started going to. I did a law. I complete the first year at university, complete the second year, and on the third year, I just said, you know what, this is just not me. But then I had to go and tell my parents, look, this is just not for me. So it took me like a few, maybe like 2 months to brainstorming to gain some courage to go and tell to my father. Again, we all know how are the African parents. So
Different.
eventually I decided to talk with my mom first. So I talked to my mom, and she was like, well, you need to go and tell your father. So I was like, okay. And eventually when I went to my father to have probably the most difficult conversation of my life, he just said, well, it's okay, Mike. It's your life. I live my life. You do whatever you want. And I was just like, is that it? Is that it? But of course, my mother talked to him before, so she made she made the way easier for me. So when I got to my father,
Yeah.
it was everything was nice. So eventually, I started university again, and I started doing tourism management. I complete 4 years of the Bachelor of Tourism Management, and then I did a master degree in hotel management. And as soon as I finished the master degree in hotel management, I did my internship. I started working in hotels, and then I made all my way up with brands like Hilton, Intercontinental, and again, just like yourself, you mentioned to me at the beginning, I was always the only black person in every single one of the stage in a hotel.
Mm.
So I started when I get to the management of the hotel. I was the only black person, and all the environment that I was surrounded. I was always the only black person. And there is an American writer. Her name is Maya Angelou. She says something like, my advice to every black person, either you are in a courtroom, either you are in a position that you are the only one, just think that you have an entire community in the back and we are all cheering up for your success. So I
Definitely.
always had this in the back
Mm.
of my mind.
Sure.
Every single place
Sure.
where I was the only person, and I knew that behind me there was a community of millions and millions of black people that will be supporting me, and that's what gave me the strength to carry on and be in a position that I am today. That's why for me it's so important. And the gym is all about that, and we're going to discuss later. And it's all about this hope that we want to give to everyone.
So, wow, interesting, interesting. Just before I forget, actually, I think for me, both your stories are very interesting, Mike and Tamara. But I think probably maybe for Tamara, I just wanted to find out before I forget. You know how it is, with children, especially in an African context, it's very difficult to go against your parents or to challenge your parents. Actually, both of you, I think it's applicable to both of you. So how did you feel, especially, with your parents telling you you are too smart to go and pursue something that you're passionate about, which is beauty. So as a child, how did that make you feel, that particular point in time? Yeah, probably maybe if you just take us through.
At the time, I was definitely like sad. But for me, I respect my parents, and I've always felt like if I'm under their roof, they are paying for everything. I cannot go against their wishes. If I feel like I want to go do my own thing, I have to step out of the house and be my own person. While I'm still under my mom's roof, I cannot go against her wishes. And that is just the idea that I had. And since I moved out of my mom's home, I went got married and all of that. Like she did not want me to be an entrepreneur. Like that is not something that she was hoping for me. She wanted me to go and get a decent job, get a monthly salary, have a decent life. And because I was now in a space, in my own space, I could tell her that that is not me, and I'm not going to do that. So yeah, that is just about it.
Okay, interesting.
And I
Awesome.
think just to add as well, just to add what she said, I think we as Africans, the level of respect that we have for our parents, it's way, way beyond than any other culture in the world. So we
True.
really respect our
Mm.
parents. And for me as well, even though I knew from the early stage that I did not graduate in law, but I did not want to go against my father's will. So, and I tried
Yeah.
very hard, but eventually, when I realized that it was just not me, I started losing somehow my identity. It
Okay.
was just
Yes.
not me, and then I decided to talk to my father, and we sat in a very respectful way, and I explained to him the reason why I just don't identify with law, and
Sure.
actually, yeah, and he agreed.
Sure. Awesome.
Actually,
Awesome.
what I'm getting from your your two stories, the fact that Tamara is saying sometimes you need to walk the path that has been laid before you, and then when you get the opportunity, when you have done what needs to be done, you can then do what you need to do to fulfill yourself. And I think that's the reality of many of
Definitely.
us. And I like what Mike is saying, that he sat down and he reasoned with his parents. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, in our African families, we sometimes don't get the opportunity to be able to reason with our parents and put reason forth that I
Mm,
don't identify with being an engineer, I don't identify with being an
mm,
accountant, because that's just not me. And I think those are important valid points that conversations need to be had in our families to allow us to move forward and to grow
mm.
ourselves, to know what careers are we're meant to go into. But I want us to quickly go to Ojima, but one last question. I want us, please inspire us to become entrepreneurs. Why entrepreneurship? Why is entrepreneurship? Because I feel like that's a very important topic that we don't talk about. Like Tamara was saying, her mom wanted her to have a stable, secure job, 9 to 5, get your salary at the end of the month, but she knew she wasn't going to be fulfilled. So why entrepreneurship? And please encourage us. I need that encouragement myself. Yes, Mike,
Me,
please start,
I
and
always
then,
tell
oh, yes,
people.
Tamara.
Okay, cool. I always tell
Yes,
people that
Tamara.
I can't motivate you to do anything. Motivation has to come from you. So if you tell yourself that, hey, this is something that I want to do, then I would tell you, go out there and read a lot about entrepreneurship, watch YouTube videos. But the first thing, it has to come from you. You have to be the
It
one that
has to
says,
come
this is
from
something
you.
that I actually want. Like, there's absolutely no one out there that can motivate you to be an entrepreneur or anything else in this world if you don't
Mm,
actually want to do it. Another thing that I do want to point out, however, is the fact that entrepreneurship is always a personal journey. So my story might not inspire the next person, but it might shape another person's thinking. Like for me, the reason why I went into entrepreneurship is like pretty much after I fell pregnant with my son. And at the time, I was like, you know what? If I want to be able to provide for him sufficiently, I'm going to have to go towards entrepreneurship, because I just had this idea that, I could potentially make a lot of money as an
mm.
entrepreneur in comparison to working a 9 to 5.
Thank you, Tamara.
Absolutely. And you said most of the things that I wanted to say as well, but just to add that it's even though a lot of people may want to become entrepreneurs, many will not succeed because from the moment you join this journey, you realize that in order to become an entrepreneur, you have to give up of a lot of different things. I always
Yes.
say to people, like in my case, sometimes I may not be the best dad because I'm so busy 24/7 in my work because my mindset is
Mm,
always thinking, all the time
yes.
thinking. I could be a better husband as well. But again, we want to achieve something. We know where we want to achieve. And for that, we have to sacrifice some of our personal lives because we know that from the moment we
Mm,
achieve whatever we want to achieve, we may be able to provide to our family something that within a normal situation on a 9 to 5 job, we will not be able to do it. So I always saw this some type of like an investment that you are doing, but on the long run, you definitely will pay back.
Mm. That's interesting. I
thank you
think
for
I like
that.
especially the part where I think I like the part especially where you spoke about motivation coming from. It's something really, because I always thought, someone has to tell you, someone has to teach how to open a business, things like that. But it's as simple as that. If you're gonna go via the entrepreneurship route, number one, it has to come from you. You need to want this. You need to know what you want. And also the other thing is that the journey itself is just a personal journey. There are challenges that are gonna come through. It's a personal experience, so you never be able to tell until you've walked the journey and experience your own experiences. So I think that's what I'm just grabbing from this. Very important. Mm.
And I agree, those are very important pointers, because a lot of the time we look for external validation when things should come from within. But let's talk about Ojimah, the app. I'm so excited because I think it's gonna be our best friend once we have enough money to travel and go in and interview people on the continent. So I read briefly on the website that it's inspired by wanting to connect people, and the team wanting to make sure that we have a good experience when we want to go on holiday. And actually, I'd like you to please tell us about what the app is. And before you do that, I want to tell you a story. When I started the podcast, I had a group of my brothers and their friends, and we were talking in a circle, and we were talking about what it means to be African. And one of the friends was like, I would never want to go into Africa on my own, because I don't know if somebody's going to come out with a gun and shoot me, because they don't know about Africa. And I really think that Ojima is going to give us all an opportunity to be able to view Africa. And okay, so now let's tell people why this app is exciting. Sorry, I jumped the gun.
No, I think actually you mentioned something so important, because one of the main reasons why I create Ojima was because, as I mentioned, most of the environment that I grew up, I was the only black person in that, and I used to hear a lot of stories, just like you're saying. And I remember when I came to Europe to study, about I was about 10 years old, and I remember the other kids asking me if in Africa we go to school with lions. They were, they were asking this type of question to me, and I didn't even know what to say. Oh, you guys have like lions at home, like pets. When you walk into school, you take the lion and the tigers and so on. And now I just like, wow, okay, crazy, crazy, crazy. But Ojima, if you go through our slogan, and on Monday, by the way, Monday we are launching our corporate page. And now the slogan of Ojima is educate, travel, and inspire. And the educate, it's really about what you just mentioned. We want to educate people on what is actually Africa. The
Yes.
few people that saw Ojima, the platform, they was like, Mike, is this in Africa? What is this in Africa? I say, yes, this is in Africa. But they are used to have that image of Africa about what the media puts out there. So their perception, this induced image of children starving, wars, that's what usually the media puts out there. Again, that's what sells to the rest of the world, I suppose. So when you show to people about the other side of Africa, they were like, no way, this cannot be in Africa. And this
Yeah.
educate in our slogan is exactly about that. To educate people about our continent, about our people, about our culture, about our tradition, they can then travel to the destination and experience the real Africa,
Mm,
go back home and
yes.
inspire others to go to visit Africa as well. So that is why our slogan is educate, travel, and inspire. Um, it's actually, you write it, or you pronounce it Ojima, but you write it like Ujima, like Ujima, which is a Swahili word from Swahili. And
Nice.
Ojima means basically collective work and responsibility. So it's a principle which means about to uplift your community. And that when I
Okay.
found that word, and I was just like, that's it. This is exactly what we are trying to do for Africa. We want to uplift Africa. We want to put Africa in the global stage, but this time for the best reasons. So that is how I got the name of Ojima.
For the best reasons. I like that
I
because
love the name. I love it.
yes, definitely, yes. Especially like when it comes to putting
Yes.
Africa on the map for the right reasons. So yeah.
Absolutely.
I also feel like it's such an African principle. Like in South Africa, we've got Ubuntu, which means someone is only a person through other people. So I feel like it's got a
Definitely.
very similar meaning and essence to it. So yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Awesome. Awesome.
This is
So, in terms of the COVID pandemic, then happened, right? The COVID pandemic happened last year, and we were not really, anticipating it. So, in terms of traveling and as well as the development of the app, did you develop it specifically thinking of unforeseen events like COVID in mind? What was going on in your mind as you were coming up, with the development of the application, especially with traveling right now, in terms of traveling when there's so much uncertainty, COVID tests, the pandemic also is being very crazy and stuff like that. So just take us through, what was going on. What did you have in mind?
Yes. Actually, some people was telling me that I'm crazy to do that. But what happened is that before Ojimah, and I have my own consulting company. So basically, we provide consulting services in tourism and hospitality to governments and to hotels. So the core business of what I've been doing before Ojima. So we were working before the pandemic with about 11 different governments of Africa. So basically, we define all the tourism strategy, we implement the tourism strategies, and we also bring investment, and we open hotels from the ground up, basically. So what I was doing before already was somehow connected to tourism and hospitality, and very much focused into the African market. So during the pandemic, what happened was that all the issues that the industry was facing, I started contacting a lot of different governments, and basically to tell them this is the right time for you to come with a plan. And they were like, well, hospitality is dead, the tourism is dead, there's not much we can do now apart from waiting. And again, we are talking about with top African ministers of tourism that I was talking to. And basically, what I said to them is basically, in every crisis lies opportunities. So if hospitality and tourism is the way it is now, why not stop, start thinking, and especially for a destination like Africa, why don't we start planning? Because that's what we lack in the most in the continent: the lack of planning, the lack of long-term vision. So I start educating those people. Okay, everything is stopped now. Why don't we take this time to start planning, preparing, reorganizing ourselves, maybe to make the tourism a bit more sustainable, maybe by educating the people in a completely different way. So when actually the industry bounced back, from the day one, you are already ready to hit the ground up and running. So I start convincing these a few governments, and actually a few of them actually really love the idea. So they hire my consulting company to prepare them a recovery plan post COVID-19. So we start doing that. And the last thing, that before the crisis, my consulting company was hired by the government of Zambia to implement their master plan. Basically, the master plan is basically the list, a guideline that the country has to follow for the next 15 to 20 years with regards to tourism. So my consulting company was doing that in Zambia, but then we just had the COVID. So my mindset during the COVID, being at home, had a lot of time to think, was like, okay, I already work with about 11 different governments. We are defining the tourism strategy. We are actually guiding them. So why actually I don't also create an engine that actually will bring the tourism to Africa? So basically, it's not just enough to create all the strategies and to implement them, but let me actually create a platform that, two things, will bring international people to Africa, and two, will promote Africans to travel within Africa. So that was the mindset that I had, and that's how Ojima started. Basically, it was just a complement of what my consulting company was already doing, because my consulting company is pretty much focused in Africa. So the Ojima was just basically the perfect match, and it's working. It's working perfectly.
Awesome.
that is nice. I like the idea that out of a crisis was born a business, a
An
solution. And that's
opportunity. Yes.
actually exactly, that's actually what the other guy from last week was saying, that out of the problems that you see, look around you. There's solutions everywhere. We can start businesses. And to be honest, in first world countries, they have all these solutions that they have. And but it's about time we think about African solutions to African problems. And I feel like, as a person who's well traveled and who's seen the world, you basically came up with a solution to an African problem. I wanted to find out, how many people do you employ at Ojimah?
Okay. At the moment with Ojimah, just like I think I mentioned to you before, we are planning the launch of Ojimah in different phases.
Oh,
Um,
I see.
exactly. So on Monday, next Monday, we are launching our corporate webpage. So by launching our corporate webpage, we'll allow people to know exactly what is the full picture of Ojimah. Because currently, if you go to ojimah.com, you have our landing page, which just gives you an idea of what's coming. But actually, what you know as Ojimah is just the first of three major steps that we are about to do in Africa, in the tourism and hospitality industry. And on Monday, you will know which are the other two. But Ojimah, and just the simple fact of the buzz that Ojimah is making. This morning, I just had a meeting with an investor from Australia. They just found out about Ojimah. Last week, I had one from New York and one from Salt Lake City and one from Silicon Valley. They all just about the buzz that Ojimah is causing, and the platform is not even out yet. That is the most exciting thing about Ojimah. That is what I love. So currently, we have a team of about 11 people, in Ojimah, and we have defined 5 key markets in Africa to start. So South Africa is one of them. South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Egypt, and Tanzania. So in each one of those countries, we started the registration of Ojimah already. And we have, in the case of Nigeria, we finished the registration, and we will start with a minimum of 25 to 30 people to start the operations. But that within 1 year, we'd get to 100. And every single country we will go to, it will be the exact the same. Once we complete all those 5 countries, we consolidate those 5 countries, we will move to other ones, and again, bring job for women, children,
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 yes.
youth. That is really what we want to bring with Ojimah. And there's something very special that I have with Ojimah in my mind. I think I mentioned to Tamara, and a lot of people is telling me, but why you do that? Because I said, I designed this platform from the scratch. I still have the notes when I started writing the initial idea of Ojimah. And now we have companies, investors approaching us from all over the world. And for me, when we launched Ojimah and Ojimah started actually gaining the traction that we need, the first thing that I will do in honor of my mother is to nominate a female CEO for Ojimah. That is the first that
Definitely. Please
You know what,
rewrite your
Mike?
CV.
I'm
Rewrite your
sending my
CV, friend.
CV.
Rewrite.
No, I'm sending my
No, I love
CV.
this.
Like,
Definitely.
this is amazing. I love it because
Ojima unique, what makes you, stand out, compared to, other agencies. Like, I think you have your Skyliners who are more or less doing the same thing. So I don't know,
Mhm.
without selling your trade secrets, but just to give us, an overview from your perspective, both of you, what makes, Ojima unique?
Absolutely. And actually, if you ask to any person, what do you know about Travel Start? What do you know about Skyscanner? What do you know about Expedia? What do you know about Wakanao in Nigeria? Everybody will tell you it's just a price comparison platform that you can book flights and so on. That's what everybody will say because they don't know what's behind, because that's what really they are. And at the end of the day, and I'm going to crash a lot with those brands, because I always say that the number one difference between Ojimah and them, there's a few differences, but I
Yes.
think the number one difference that I can mention to you about Ojimah and the other platforms is that Unlike platforms like TravelStar, Wakanow, Expedia, Booking, they are tech companies that operate in hospitality. So basically, as a tech company operating in hospitality, what they really focus in is to automate everything and not to have that much contact with people, not create that many jobs. And I'll give an example. You have a company like Booking.com, Booking Holdings, and you have Marriott Hotels, group of Marriott. Marriott employs about 16,000 employees or 18,000 employees. And you have, on the other hand, and they have hotels all over the world. And you have a company like Booking.com, which actually worth 6 billion, and you have Marriott that worth even less. But Marriott is much bigger. But when you compare both of them, the number of employees that one has and the other one has is totally, totally different. So this to say that with Ojimah, what I did was to design a platform from the customer perspective. So a platform that comes from the hospitality background that is using technology to make the life of the customer easier instead of bringing a tech company to operate in hospitality. So I just flip the things around. Because if you ask people about Booking.com, Expedia, TravelStar, one of the key issues they have is that they cannot reach them. The customer support, it's almost inexistent because that's what they aim for. Their aim is not to deal with people because they are not hospitality. That's why everything is automated, just so they can have as less interaction as possible with the customer.
With humans, yes.
Exactly. So what I did, basically, I said, okay, I'm coming from the hospitality background. I'm going to design a platform that actually is going to use technology just to make the life of the consumers much easier. And I'll give you a final example to give you the first differentiation. Is basically any person, when he's planning to book their holidays, the study says that they visit about 50 different websites. They do like a research for about 12 to 15 different days until they make their own decision because they have to go through a lot of different websites. What Ojimah is bringing to the table in about 3 weeks' time when we launch is the definition of a real one-stop platform because we cover every single journey of the guest, every single step of the guest journey. You are planning to visit South Africa. You don't know anything about South Africa. You go into Ojimah, we have a section that's called travel guides. You go there, you educate yourself about South Africa. Rainy season, dry season, best time to visit, the cheapest season, the culture, the gastronomy, main attractions. You see that and you say, okay, you know what? Let me go and book the flight. You book the flight. When you're booking the flight, our system will ask you, Mike, you have a passport from Guinea-Bissau. You need a visa to South Africa. Would you like to apply for the visa? You apply for the visa in Ojimah. You upload your document into our platform. So you don't need to go to the embassy to do that. And then there is more. When you do that, you are staying for about 3 hours layover, let's say, in Lagos. The system will ask you, oh, Mike, you have 3 hours stopover. Would you like to access the VIP airport in Lagos or in South Africa or in Dubai? You can access that one. And then you're going to South Africa. You need to change money. You change money in Ojimah. You don't need to go to the airport changing the money. You don't need to go to the foreign exchange. So literally what I've created is this one-stop platform that covers every single need that the traveler needs, including you are traveling from South Africa. Let's say you come into Europe. When you get to Europe, the first thing that people will do basically is to go and buy like a SIM card. We automate that. We don't do that anymore. You buy a package when you are in South Africa. You get the data, the minutes. When you travel, you still keep your same number. You don't spend your data. You spend the data that you bought online and you still keep your same number. So we put a virtual SIM into your phone without you doing anything at all. So all these features, there's no other platform in the world that has these features. And what makes me more proud is that it's an African platform.
Love it.
Yeah, and adding to that, I think that is like one of the biggest differentiators between Ojimah and all of the other platforms is that it is so African focused. Like the idea behind it is to support Africa, to bring Africa up. Mike didn't mention the fact that within the platform, we'll be able to track your IP address. So if you are African and you're traveling to another African country, you'll be able to get a discount because of that. So we want to promote Africans to travel and explore their continent, really. And I think that is one of the big differentiators, is that we are so African focused, and we want to make like the platform about Africa and about embracing Africa, about uplifting Africans. And that is something that none of the other platforms have at this point.
Wow. Wow, guys. Yo. Hi, no, guys, bravo, pops to you guys. This
So
is
your
this is
Nela's
really
eyes popping
beautiful.
out the whole time.
Like I was literally, I was just like, I was ingesting and digesting, and I'm like, okay, all right, wow, okay, I love it. I love it. Move on to challenges, guys. From maybe both of you, your perspective. What challenges have you encountered, and from maybe how have you managed, to overcome, the challenges that, because I think on a daily basis, as people who are in entrepreneurship, you get to experience challenges, on a first-hand perspective. So what has been your challenges and, ways of, overcoming?
Tamara, you want to go first?
For me, really, the biggest challenge that I've had was people not taking me seriously.
Mm,
And I feel like the one thing that I had to do was to continuously put myself out there. I feel a lot of entrepreneurs right now, they don't talk enough about themselves, their capabilities, and what they're able to do. And if
yes,
you are an entrepreneur, if you are young, especially a young Black female, like you have to
yes,
really put yourself out there so that people can get to actually notice you and be able to
right.
see exactly what it is that you have to offer. And I think that is just one of the biggest challenges that I've had to overcome, because I am quite an introvert, so I don't really enjoy publicly putting myself out there. But because I
Yes.
was now in a space where, okay, I have to do it, I had to put myself out there, and I had to push myself really to, be on LinkedIn, create videos, create content, so that people can actually take me seriously.
And literally coming out of your
Absolutely.
comfort zone. So I think as an entrepreneur,
I
what
had
I'm gathering
to.
from you, Tamaran, is coming out of your, your comfort zone. Mike?
Yes, and I think for me as well, one of the main challenges that I had was coming from the tourism and hospitality background and wanting to use technology to enhance the customer experience. I had to educate myself on that area of the technology as well. So that was one of the challenges that I had. And then another challenge was that eventually you realize that 24 hours is not enough um, for the day. It's just not enough, especially if you want to combine your the work with your family as well. And then
Right,
the third
right.
thing that I would mention also is the how difficult is the process of getting like the funds for your business, and it's quite challenging, but it is possible to do so if you have the right mindset, if you have the right vision, if you
Yes.
believe, you have to believe in yourself to sell it to others. Just like when we are talking about Ojimah, when I start talking to Ojimah at the very early stage, they were telling to me, wow, we can really feel what you are saying, Mike. And this is only comes from you. When you believe in what you are doing, when you are resolving a problem, and for us, we are resolving a huge, huge problem, not just about being the most completed, and I would say the only one-stop shop platform within the travel industry, but we are doing it as an African brand. We are promoting the continent. We are uplifting the continent, like Tamara mentioned, she just mentioned. And
Yes.
we are doing this also with an agenda, the agenda of to slowly, slowly being part of the rebranding Africa, because we want to change people's perceptions about Africa. So it's kind of like a mix of everything. And it's still going to be a challenge. It's not going to happen from one day to another one. But hopefully by educating all these international tourists that don't want to go to Africa because of this, because of that thing that they heard, by actually having people telling them, actually, I was in South Africa. Oh, I was in this place. I was in Namibia. Actually, it was a great place. I love it. I would recommend it to go. So that's what we're aiming to bring also with Ojimah. And it's one of the challenges that we're going to face. But we already started breaking those barriers, and definitely we will make it.
Definitely. No, I love it when you believe in what you are doing. Yonela, is there anything else you want to, I don't know, ask Mike and Tamara?
What does it mean to be African to you, or what makes you proudly African? That's one. And what would you say is the African brand? That's the second question. So just so to revive people's pride in being African, and I'm so sorry I couldn't be part of the rest of the conversation. My feelings are so hurt, but I am here.
I'm so sorry, friend.
Please
Yeah.
tell us what makes you proud to be African, and what do you deem to be the African brand?
You know, it is being African for me. It's everything, and I'm proud to being African. And on Monday, when we launch our corporate page, you're going to see how proud I am in being African. And we're talking. Let's not forget that we're talking about a group of people of a continent that has been through so much. A continent of people that had their identity basically stolen. Part of our identity was stolen.
Right.
Our
Right.
language, our culture was taken us from us. But that didn't stop us to be the happiest people around the world. We are talking about a continent, a group of people that goes through so many struggles on a daily basis, but still people are smiling, are happy, and just putting that behind. So we've been through so many adversities throughout the daily, almost every hour of our days, year after year in the past, but we still are there, still stand smiling and showing that we can do the things. And for me, this is what I like the most about being African. And Ojimah is really about that. It's about this to represent we as African, our identity, our culture, and to be proud, because we have to be proud of who we are. We came a long way, but now we will have a platform that is actually talking about ourselves. It's going to help us to get to a completely different level, because we can say, well, okay, if you have different platforms like Ojimah and, for instance, Skyscanner, Expedia, you as a consumer, you go there, look for a flight, and they're exactly the same. But you know that one is an African platform. Why would you book in Skyscanner? You know that Ojimah is actually supporting Africa in so many ways. Why wouldn't you support Ojimah as well? So basically, yes, it makes me extremely proud of being African, because in spite of everything that we go through, we still stand strong and always looking to the front with a smile in our face.
And I'm excited. Sorry, I'm excited that the platform is coming out of Africa for Africans and for the rest of the world. It's like we are taking Africa to the world instead of the world taking Africa or bringing Africa to itself. I like that. Okay, Tamara.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, the one thing that makes me proud to be African, like Mike mentioned, is just the fact that we are such a resilient nation as like a whole. I always like look at other African cultures as like South Africa is rich with different Africans, and every time I have a talk with them, I always notice just how, first of all, how strong we are, but also the similarities between like all of the different nations. Like we all have the
Yes.
same mindset, and I really
Mm.
feel like, if we can actually through Ojimah, like bring all of these different people together, we can achieve so much.
Lovely. Lovely.
I have nothing more to say. Thank you so much for bracing us with your presence on our platform. Sorry for the internet issues. We hopefully, when
All
you
good.
guys launch or are in town, we can come through and have like an in-person interview. You will see how energetic we are.
And allow me to say this to you. Um, it is the first interview that actually I'm giving. So you are already making history with Ojimah.
We are very
And
privileged.
and just for the simple fact that you are doing that, I will share I will share an email with you guys, and there will be something that will be on me on behalf of Ojimah as a present for you, a getaway, something that will come on your way. Being the first platform that we
I'm so
actually Ojimah
excited.
was on. You cannot
I'm so
be part of that.
excited.
We are very excited. Thank you so much. We are hoping that we will meet you guys in person.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to have you guys on the platform. And
Catch us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. It's Manufacturing Africa. 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 Africa.